Hello, year one, Mrs. Savage here. Our next topic lesson is going to be about Isambard Kingdom Brunel. Now, I know last week we looked at some of his engineering designs. Today, we're going to look a bit more on his life, and then you're going to have two tasks to do. The first one will be to draw a picture of Isambard Kingdom Brunel or one of his designs, and then to write some facts. So let's get started. So we are going to look at Isambard Kingdom Brunel today. Now, what I'm going to use is the BBC bite size. So if you want to look more on this, then you can Google BBC bite size Isambard Kingdom Brunel. So let's have a read. So who was he? He lived around 200 years ago during the Victorian Age, and next week we are going to learn more about the Victorian Age. He was a famous engineer whose design changed the lives of many. Now we are going to watch a short video on Isambard Kingdom Brunel.
Go to America to train.
Great. Now we're going to look at a few more facts about Isambard Kingdom Brunel. Now, his name is very unusual, but it's a memorable name. And so his name, he is named after his mom and his dad. So his mom was named Sophia Kingdom, and his dad was Mark Isambard Brunel. So they put their two names together to make Isambard Kingdom Brunel. His dad was French, so Brunel went to school in Paris, which is the capital of France. And he was known for wearing a top hat. And we're going to use that when we do our drawings. First, let's do this short little activity. So we need to put these cards in the correct order. So do you remember, what was the first thing that Isambard Kingdom Brunel did? Did he build a railway? Did he build the Great Eastern? Did the boat hit a rock? Or did he help his dad build the Thames Tunnel? That's right. He needed the tunnel built first. So he helped his dad with the Thames Tunnel. Then what did he do? That's right. His idea of the tunnel led to the Great Railway between London and Bristol. And then what came first? Did the ship hit a rock or did he build the ship? Of course, he'd have to build the ship first. And the ship hit a rock, but it did not sink. Well done. So let's have a look at our task today. So you are going to draw either Isambard Kingdom Brunel, one of his famous bridges, or the boat, his ship, the Great Eastern. And then task 2 is to write some facts about Isambard Kingdom Brunel. So all you need is a pencil and a paper, and if you want any coloring pencils or anything to color with after, you can. So here's a picture of Isambard Kingdom Brunel. Now, do you remember from last week why we don't have many photos of Isambard Kingdom Brunel? Well done if you remembered. Isambard Kingdom Brunel was born when photography wasn't even invented. So the earliest photos we have of him is from in his 30s, and he was known for wearing the top hat. So here are just 2 examples of some children's drawings of Isambard Kingdom Brunel. So you can just try your best. You don't have to draw his body if you don't want to. You can just draw his face with his cigar and maybe his big black top hat. Or if you'd like, you can draw one of his bridges. These are 2, the Clifton Suspension Bridge in Bristol, and then there's the Maidenhead Bridge, which is obviously very close to us. Or you could draw the Great Eastern, one of his famous ships that he designed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show each picture again, and if you want, you can pause the video on which picture you want, and you can start to do your drawing. And then when you finish your drawing, you can continue watching and write some facts. So here we have Isambard Kingdom Brunel. We have these 2 bridges. If you want to look up a different bridge, you can. And then we've got one of his ships, the Great Eastern. Now, once you've finished your drawing, then I'd like you to try and write some facts about him. Now, they can be any facts if you've learned. If you've looked for your own research, they could be from the videos from last week, or they could be from the videos that we've done today. So let's just remind ourselves. So Isambard Kingdom Brunel was a famous engineer. He was famous for building 3 things: bridges, ships, and railways. He was born in 1806 in the Victorian era, which we'll learn a bit more next week. And he died in 1859 at the age of 53 because he worked way too much and he worried a lot. He created steamships, and he also created the world's largest ship at the time, which was called the Great Eastern. And it was 211 meters long, and it was big enough for 4,000 people. So you can write any of those facts or any other facts that you have learned about Isambard Kingdom Brunel. But remember, when you write your facts, to always start with a capital letter, and especially if you're writing names. So Isambard Kingdom Brunel, his name will all have a capital. If you're writing the name of his ship, that will have a capital. And to end your sentences with a full stop. Now, there are lots of other websites that you can look at if you are able to on Isambard Kingdom Brunel. If you Google him, there are lots of things for you to look at. There's the Brunel Museum. There's also a game. The Great Britain is another ship that he has built, and that is there's a model of that in Bristol, which has been turned into a museum. So this website will take you on there, and there's a really fun game you could play, or you could look at just some other ships that he has built and Google that. But if you just Google his name and write for kids, there's lots of information. So let's remind ourselves. Task 1, you can draw a picture of Isambard Kingdom Brunel or anything, or any of his designs, so a ship, a bridge, or himself. And then task 2 is to try and write some facts, remembering capital letters, full stops, and remember with your neat printing as well. I hope you've enjoyed learning about Isambard Kingdom Brunel, and we look forward to seeing anything else that you have about him all on Tapestry. And I know Mrs. Mansouri and Ms. Hargreaves and I have enjoyed looking at all of your bridges that you've been building and all of the work on Tapestry. So keep up the great work.